What if I told you that Jesus Christ gave specific geographical warnings about where not to be during the most terrifying time in human history? These weren't vague spiritual warnings. They were precise evacuation instructions to save lives, 3 places that will become death traps when the tribulation begins. When people think about Jesus' prophecies about the end times, they normally focus on the spiritual signs, right? The false prophets, wars, earthquakes, and famines. But there's something that many people completely overlook, and I tell you, it's something that can save your life or cost you your life. Jesus didn't just speak about events that were going to happen. He specifically told us where not to be when these events begin to unfold. And brother, when I say specific, it's truly specific. We're talking about geographical coordinates, exact places on the map where things are going to get so bad that your only option will be to run. 2,000 years ago, Christ looked into the future and saw exactly where people would be trapped when the tribulation began. These weren't general warnings like beware of evil or stay away from dangerous places. No, these were evacuation instructions as precise as those a general would give before bombing a city. And I'm going to be very honest with you. When I first studied these texts, I was frozen because you realize that Jesus knew exactly what was going to happen, where it was going to happen, and when it was going to happen. And the most shocking thing is that these warnings weren't just for unbelievers. Many of these warnings were directed specifically to my people. As Revelation chapter 18 verse 4 states, imagine receiving a coded message from a high-ranking intelligence officer, warning that your city will be obliterated by dawn. Would you debate its authenticity or grab your loved ones and flee? Jesus' words carry that urgency, a divine dispatch from the one who sees the end from the beginning. These aren't mere predictions, but a merciful blueprint, a survival guide etched in eternity to steer his people from annihilation. The power of these warnings lies in one critical choice: to trust Jesus as the Son of God, whose omniscience pierces the veil of time. Without that faith, these instructions fade into folklore. With it, they become a lifeline, demanding immediate action to escape the chaos that looms. The first alert: escape from Judea. The first location Jesus pinpoints is not a vague region, but the precise territory of Judea, modern-day Israel, and the West Bank, the sacred heartland of biblical history. This isn't a casual suggestion to avoid trouble. It's a high-stakes evacuation order, delivered with military precision.
Matthew chapter 24, verses 15 through 18 declares, "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house, and let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes."
The language is stark, urgent, leaving no room for hesitation. This is a directive to abandon everything: homes, possessions, plans, and run for the hills, as if a tsunami were seconds from swallowing the land. The trigger for this exodus is the abomination of desolation, a chilling event foretold in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27 and confirmed by Jesus as the midpoint of the 7-year tribulation, 3.5 years into the chaos. Picture the scene: the Antichrist, the ultimate usurper, erects a blasphemous idol in Jerusalem's rebuilt temple, demanding global worship. Revelation chapter 13 verses 14 and 15 reveal the horror. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. This isn't mere political oppression, it's a spiritual assault, transforming Jerusalem into the epicenter of a global tyranny where dissenters face execution. But the danger isn't limited to human forces. The earth itself will convulse under divine judgment. Revelation chapter 16 verses 18 through 21 paints an apocalyptic tableau. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake. Such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth.
Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before God, to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And great hail from heaven fell upon men, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. Imagine earthquakes so severe they fracture cities, coupled with hailstones each weighing nearly 100 pounds crashing from the heavens. Judea becomes a crucible of natural and supernatural calamities, a place where survival hinges on swift exodus. Adding to the peril, military forces will besiege the region. Luke chapter 21 verses 20 through 24 warns, "But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those who are in the midst of her depart, and let not those who are in the country enter her. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant, and to those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people, and they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." Zechariah chapter 14 verses 2 and 3 amplify this, depicting a global coalition converging on Jerusalem. "For I will gather all the nations to battle against Jerusalem. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Half of the city shall go into captivity, but the remnant of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations, as he fights in the day of battle." Caught in this crossfire of divine wrath, geological upheaval, and military siege, Judea transforms into a death trap where delay spells doom. Yet, amidst this grim forecast, Jesus offers a lifeline. He doesn't consign all to destruction, but points to escape routes, mountain refuges, where God's provision awaits. Revelation chapter 12 verse 6 unveils this hope. "Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. These 1,260 days, 3.5 years, mark the tribulation's latter half, where divine sanctuaries offer supernatural sustenance, reminiscent of the manna and water God provided Israel during their 40-year wilderness sojourn. These aren't human-engineered bunkers, but divinely ordained havens, stocked with resources beyond mortal means, food, water, shelter, all secured by the hand that parted the Red Sea. The urgency of this escape cannot be overstated. Matthew chapter 24 verse 16 commands, "Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." The word then is a ticking clock, signaling immediate action the moment the temple's desecration is witnessed. Jesus doubles down on the urgency in Matthew chapter 24 verse 20, "And pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath." Winter's harsh conditions or the Sabbath's travel restrictions in traditional Jewish practice could hinder escape, underscoring the need to act without delay, as if a wildfire were racing toward your doorstep. Luke chapter 21 verses 22 through 24 further clarifies the stakes, "For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant, and to those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." This isn't localized chaos, it's a global shockwave radiating from Judea, threatening extermination and enslavement for those who linger. Jesus anchors this urgency in historical parallels.
drawing chilling comparisons to cataclysms past. Luke chapter 17 verses 28 through 30 states likewise, "As it was also in the days of Lot, they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even so, will it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Sodom's residents reveled in routine eating, trading, building oblivious to the firestorm moments away."
Lot's escape, detailed in Genesis chapter 19, verse 16, was a divine rescue. And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. His hesitation nearly cost him everything. His wife's backward glance sealed her fate as a pillar of salt. A warning Jesus echoes in Luke chapter 17, verse 32. Remember Lot's wife. Nostalgia or indecision in Judea's hour of judgment will be equally fatal. Yet, hope pierces the darkness. Jesus' warnings aren't pronouncements of doom, but invitations to deliverance. Revelation chapter 3 verse 10 promises the faithful, "Because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial which shall come upon the whole world, to test those who dwell on the earth."
Luke chapter 21 verse 36 reinforces this. "Watch therefore, and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." God's plan isn't passive survival, but active escape, reserved for those who heed his call with unwavering trust. Preparation now, spiritual vigilance, scriptural grounding, and resolute faith ensures readiness when Judea's skies darken. The second signal: abandon. Babylon's shadow. From Judea's localized peril, Jesus' warnings expand to a global stage, targeting the sprawling urban networks symbolized as Babylon the Great. This isn't a mere city, but a metaphor for the interconnected metropolises that define modern civilization, vibrant hubs of commerce, culture, and power, yet teetering on the edge of collapse. Revelation chapter 18 verse 4 issues a piercing command, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, 'Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues.'" This isn't a call to spiritual reform, but a physical exodus, a mandate to flee urban centers to avoid the catastrophic fallout of their sins and judgments. Babylon the Great transcends the ancient ruins of Mesopotamia. It embodies the global urban system. Cities like New York, Tokyo, London, and Shanghai, interwoven by trade and technology. Revelation chapter 18 verses 11 through 13 catalogs their lifeblood: gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, every kind of object of ivory, every kind of object of most precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, and cinnamon and incense, fragrant oil and frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, and bodies and souls of men. This inventory spans luxury goods to necessities, from raw materials to human trafficking, encapsulating the arteries of global commerce. These cities thrive on constant inflows: food from rural farmlands, energy from distant grids, water from complex systems, all sustained by a delicate web of logistics and finance. But this web is fragile. Revelation chapter 18 verse 21 foretells its violent end. "Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, 'Thus with violence the great city Babylon shall be thrown down, and shall not be found any more.'" This isn't a gradual decline, but a sudden, irrevocable implosion. The timeline is staggering. Revelation chapter 18 repeats it thrice. Verse 10 laments, "In 1 hour your judgment has come." Verse 17 mourns, "For in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing." Verse 19, wails, for in 1 hour she is made desolate. 60 minutes to erase the mightiest economic system in history, a scenario unthinkable in John's day of ox carts and sales, but chillingly plausible in ours, where digital markets move trillions in seconds. The 2010 flash crash, wiping out $1 trillion in 36 minutes, was a mere tremor compared to this prophesied quake. Why are cities so vulnerable? Revelation chapter 18 verse 11 explains, "And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore." Commerce doesn't slow, it stops. Urban centers, dependent on external supply chains, face immediate paralysis. Without electricity, water pumps fail. Without fuel, transport halts. Without food deliveries, shelves empty. Revelation chapter 16, verses 18 through 21 intensifies the crisis. "And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth.
Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. Multiple urban hubs collapse under this onslaught, their infrastructure shattered by divine and natural forces. The cultural and functional death is total." Revelation chapter 18 verse 22 mourns. "The sound of harpists, musicians, flutists, and trumpeters shall not be heard in you anymore. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you anymore, and the sound of a millstone shall not be heard in you anymore." Music, industry, agriculture silenced. Verse 23 adds, "The light of a lamp shall not shine in you anymore." Power grids fail, plunging cities into darkness without electricity. Modern life unravels. No refrigeration spoils food. No pumps mean no water. No communication isolates millions. Within days, urban centers become uninhabitable. Within weeks, desperation fuels violence as survivors vie for dwindling resources. The root of this collapse lies in deception. Revelation chapter 18 verse 23 reveals, "For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived." The Greek pharmakeia. Manipulation through illusion underpins this system. Cities rest on false promises that technology trumps nature, that wealth ensures security, that humanity can thrive apart from God's design. When these illusions crumble, the fallout is catastrophic. Consider a city like Los Angeles, reliant on distant aqueducts for water and trucks for food. Cut those lifelines, and millions will face starvation within weeks. Multiply this across global metropolises, and the scale of the humanitarian crisis defies comprehension. 95% of urban populations scrambling for the 5% of local resources. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a wake-up call to relocate, to seek simpler, self-sustaining locales before the collapse. Rural areas with access to land and water offer resilience that urban centers lack.
The 1-hour timeline aligns with our hyper-connected reality, where a single cyber attack or market glitch can cascade globally, paralyzing economies. Jesus' call to come out is a strategic retreat, urging believers to prioritize survival over comfort, to trust divine provision over human systems. The third threat: the mark's temptation and false refuges. As Babylon's collapse breeds desperation, a sinister solution emerges, exploiting human vulnerability. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, unveils this trap. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, in a world of hunger, chaos, and collapse. This mark, likely a technological implant or identifier, promises access to food, security, and order, but it's a devil's bargain. trading eternal salvation for temporary relief. This isn't random, it's a calculated ploy, orchestrated to push humanity to its breaking point, where survival instincts override spiritual resolve. The desperation fueling this choice stems from the urban collapse. Starving families, cut off from supplies, face unbearable pressure. The mark's allure lies in its promise to restore normalcy, to buy, sell, and live again. Yet, Revelation. Chapter 14, verses 9 through 11 warns of its cost. If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. Accepting the mark seals an irreversible fate, a choice born of desperation but ending in eternal separation from God. In this chaos, many will seek safety in human solutions, fortified bunkers, remote hideouts, or high-tech shelters designed to weather the storm, but Jesus exposes their futility. Revelation chapter 6, verses 15 through 17 reveals, "And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, 'Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand?' Even the wealthiest, with state-of-the-art bunkers, find no refuge. They beg for death over facing divine judgment, proving no fortress can shield from God's reach. Why do these shelters fail? First, divine judgment transcends physical barriers. Psalm chapter 139, verses 7 through 12 declares, "Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall fall on me, even the night shall be light about me. Indeed, the darkness shall not hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to you." God's omniscience pierces every hideout, rendering bunkers irrelevant. Second, prolonged isolation in confined spaces over 7 years erodes mental stability. Psychological studies of confined environments, like submarines or Arctic outposts, show even trained individuals crack under months of isolation. Imagine years underground, knowing apocalyptic horrors unfold above. The mind buckles, turning sanctuaries into prisons of despair. Third, bunkers rely on vulnerable systems ventilation, power, communication that crumble under tribulation's supernatural disruptions. Electromagnetic pulses, quakes, or divine interventions can seal occupants in tombs of their own making. But the deeper flaw is spiritual bunkers reflect trust in human ingenuity, not God's provision. Jesus counters this in Matthew chapter 24, verses 17 and 18. "Let him who is on the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house, and let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes." Flee light. Trust holy and divine care, not stockpiles or fortifications. Anchoring in faith. Practical steps forward. These warnings, though daunting, are a roadmap to endurance, not despair. Spiritual readiness is paramount. Romans chapter 10 verse 9 lays the cornerstone that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. True salvation, trusting Christ as Savior, grounds you for the trials ahead. Revelation chapter 7 verses 9 through envisions survivors. These are the ones who come out of the great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Their victory stems from faith, not fortifications. Scripture is your shield. John chapter 8, verse 32. Promises, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Memorize key passages to navigate deception. Psalm chapter 119, verse 11, urges your word I have hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against you. Prioritize verses like John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11, warning against the mark. Prayer sharpens discernment. John chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Community strengthens resolve. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25. And let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Trust God's provision. Luke chapter 12, verses 22 through 26. Then he said to his disciples, Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, nor about the body, what you will put on. Life is more than food, and the body is more than clothing. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which have neither storehouse nor barn, and God feeds them. How much more value are you than the birds? Jesus' warnings guide through peril, not around it. Echoing biblical escapes Israel through the Red Sea. Daniel in the lion's den. Luke chapter 14, verse 28 challenges, For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Decide now, faith over fear, obedience over comfort. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 assures divine havens for the faithful. Trust Jesus' proven precision, his prophecies unfailingly fulfilled. Prepare spiritually, act decisively, and heed the call. Come out of her, my people. Your survival depends on it.